Can
Hello,
you hear me?
Becky.
Hello.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Thank you for your time today.
I use a communication device to communicate and have pre-programmed questions for the interview in advance. I can also speak, but it takes a lot of energy and it can be hard to understand me. Feel free to ask me to repeat myself if you do not understand me.
Okay, thank you.
What is your current role with the Orlando Magic and what are your main responsibilities?
Well, my title is Director of Player Development and Basketball Operations, and it's sort of a front office role. It's a front office role, sort of the bridge between front office, coaches, players, and performance staff. And so I wear a lot of hats, or I'm involved in a lot of things, such as, I go to every practice. I travel with the team. I'm in the draft room at draft time or trade deadline or free agency strategy discussions. And we sort of, onboard or welcome new players to the area and make sure that they have everything they need. And so it's pretty much a service-based role where you're just there to make everybody else's life easier.
How long have you worked with the Orlando Magic?
I just completed my 3rd season and I'm going into my 4th.
What was your previous experience prior to working with the Orlando Magic?
Before I worked with the Orlando Magic, I was working at the NBA League office in New York City as in Basketball Operations International. And with that role, it allowed me to help out and work in an operations support role with our national men's team for USA Basketball for the 2014 World Cup and the 2016 Olympics. Before working at the league office, I was on the coaching staff at the University of Louisville for their women's basketball program and the University of Maryland.
How did you begin your career?
Well, I played basketball as a young girl and I played in college. And after finishing up with college, I still wanted to try to play. So I played overseas for a season in Sweden. And after that, I worked at an after-school program in the Concord area and worked at basketball camps. And I really enjoyed being around the game, and I knew that. So I began my career by putting myself out there, and I was the assistant director of operations at the University of Maryland under Brenda Fries. So she gave me an opportunity to learn from her program, and it just kind of, through having 2 brothers that also played basketball and were highly recruited, between the 3 of us, we just kind of had a pretty big basketball network. And so just by kind of being involved and included in so many things that they did, I was able to kind of pave my own way.
What kind of challenges do you experience in your position?
There's lots of challenges with the role. Our league is super competitive and very, we're a business, so it's challenging, to win and drive winning in such a competitive league like the NBA. All 30 teams are spending a lot of money to put together the best rosters that set them up for winning. And so I find that to be the biggest challenge, to get everything going in the winning direction, and do my part or serve my role as a part of that, and kind of keeping that winning, those winning habits, that winning mentality on a daily basis and consistently, is something that I think most teams in our people that work for teams in our league find challenging.
What was your most memorable moment playing basketball at Concord High School? What about at the college and professional level?
Well, I think my most memorable moment at Concord High, if I can remember, because I'm getting older and I have a hard time remembering from high school years, and I don't want to miss or recreate a memory that isn't accurate. But I always really enjoyed playing in our Christmas tournament. It always felt like a special time. And we would play local teams, and then maybe like an out of town team would come. And it felt like, you know, people would come to our games, and it was just like always a special tournament to me. And I enjoyed playing in it. Um, for college, there's a lot of memories that come to mind. Playing. I played at a time when Tennessee women's basketball was at their. They were sort of legendary, and UConn was legendary, and so I think playing at Tennessee against was incredible. Pat Summitt was their coach. Tamika Catchings was on their roster, and they were just so talented. And I had grown up seeing them on TV, and just to be a freshman out there on the court, it was really, really memorable. Winning, most of my memories for my basketball teams have to do with my teammates. Having special times off the court or little things that we did on the court are always memorable. And I'm so fortunate that I've met so many great women throughout the years, whether they were my teammate, a manager on the team, or a coach or a training staff member. I feel like those memories sometimes outweigh my basketball memories. And those are easier to pull up faster than the basketball stuff. But professionally, again, just going overseas, and I think of my teammates. I don't really think of anything on the court that stands out, because I always worked really hard and tried my best, and I always try it. Like, I think that I never really kind of worried, or I just have a hard time remembering those moments, I guess, as I get older.
What has been your most memorable moment working with the Orlando Magic?
I think my most memorable moment working with the Orlando Magic was when, our first season here, we didn't win a lot of games, and then the next season, my second season here, to be a part of our team, and we hadn't clinched we hadn't been in the playoffs, I think, in 6 years or so, and so we were and of course, what was extra special is we were at Boston playing, and we clinched the 8th seed for the playoffs in Boston, against Boston, to play there. My parents were there. I think Luke came with his family, or came up to down to Boston, and we got in the locker room, and we were so happy, and just that moment was really special to clinch that playoff berth after having such a challenging season the season before. And of course, living and being a part of the time in the NBA bubble was really a memorable moment and a unique experience to be a part of. And I'm also grateful for being able to be included in that.
What is your favorite part of your job?
I think my favorite part of my job is, obviously I love the game of basketball, but being around the people and working together for a common goal towards winning is something that I really enjoy. I enjoy helping people, or trying to do whatever I can to contribute in a positive way that helps us, helps our organization be better, or just anything that I can do to make sure that our guys, or our players, our coaches, our president, our GM, everyone can just do their jobs. And just being a part of the team is my favorite thing.
How did your experience as an athlete help you in your current role as the Director of Player Development and Basketball Operations?
I think my experience as an athlete helped me in my current role because it helps relate to what it's like for the players, like what they go through, whether that's, things that they do, like having a routine, having balance on and off the court, and living a balanced life, maintaining healthy habits, both mentally and like physically with nutrition and being in shape, and working hard and knowing like what it feels like to have a bad game or have a great game or, miss a shot, really like have a high pressure situation and sort of, on a different level than an NBA level, you can totally relate to what people are going through.
How has COVID-19 impacted Orlando Magic basketball?
Well, the NBA has done a great job as a league mandating protocols to make sure that everybody is safe and staying healthy as best that they can in their markets. And so the Magic are falling in line with those protocols. And so what that looks like for us is, we're not in the office. We're using Zoom like we are now. We meet virtually. For the pre-draft process, it's all different because you can't do combine. I mean, you can do virtual combine, but like the athletes that we are looking at didn't finish their college seasons. There's no pro days, it's just very, very different. There's no in-person interviews. Everything is virtual. And so I would say that COVID has had a big impact on the way that things operate. But at the same time, we've done a really nice job innovating and making sure that we are still staying connected and getting what we need virtually.
How has COVID-19 impacted your life outside of work?
Well, I haven't seen my family in a I think it might be the longest time ever. It would have been great and really special to be able to go up to New Hampshire and visit my mom and dad and my brothers who are all in the state right now. Especially fall is my favorite time of year. And obviously, as you guys know, New Hampshire fall is beautiful. And so for me personally, it's just hard to be away from my family and not be able to see them in person.
What did a typical day look like for you before COVID-19, and what does a typical work day look like for you now?
Before COVID, my days were very busy and very active. I always walk around with my laptop in my hand because I'm super mobile. It's a lot of interactions with people, whether it's a player, a coach, performance staff, front office, an agent, a friend, or a family member. It's just a lot of different touch points. And I would travel with a lot more and be at the arena a lot more and, be involved in many different things, aspects of the way that the organization runs in person. And so obviously now the only difference is everything is kind of, further away, whether that's a phone call, a FaceTime, a Zoom, or a text or an email. But that's the biggest difference, is that in-person connection.
What kind of extra preparation and training went into navigating the uncertainties and challenges of COVID-19 for the Orlando Magic organization?
Well, I think the league did a very good job of providing us guidelines and things and mandates and protocols to follow. So I guess you could say it was control what you can control and be prepared and innovative during times like these. And I think that's what we did as an organization and are doing as best we can, and staying, like I keep saying, we stay in touch, we have communication and connection, even though we can't all be together in person. I think that's something that we've been able to maintain in this new normal.
Did you live inside the bubble system at Walt Disney World? If
Yeah,
so, what was it like living and working in the bubble environment with players, coaches, and other personnel?
I lived in the bubble. Yes, I did. I stayed at the Grand Floridian Hotel at Disney. I I live about 7 miles from Disney myself, so it was very strange to be living in a hotel 7 miles from where I actually live. And I had actually never been to Disney before, not as a kid or even living here in Orlando much. So that was also kind of neat. I could see all the, the Magic Kingdom castle and, get that Disney level of service and fun from the people that we interacted with from the Disney staff, who were phenomenal. They made us feel right at home. The NBA put on an absolutely incredible undertaking of logistics to make sure that we had everything we need, and they did a great job. So it was nice. You had your room. Our campus, our group had 8 teams. Our hotel had 8 teams staying at the Grand Floridian, and we were each, in our little building. It kind of made you feel like you were on campus in college. So you could say, oh, there's the Houston Rockets, that's their building, and there's the Brooklyn Nets building, and then the pool was sort of the center of campus. So it was kind of the hub of, and so you could go to the pool. You could see, there was some lawn activities. We had a big cornhole tournament, and James Harden, turns out, is really good at cornhole, and so he beat our team. And just, it was just a really interesting experience, because no one bothered the athletes. It was just us. And we each got, each team on our campus got 2 golf carts. So, because it was like a 7-minute walk to get from your building to your meal space, and so it was fun using the golf carts with the guys. They had various activities for the guys to do and for us to do, whether it was fishing or going out on a pontoon boat, or heading to Disney golf courses or bowling. And we participated in all of those things. And so, we were able to focus and, go to practice and work hard, but there was also a lot of downtime. And so there was a lot of time for team bonding and togetherness. And I think it was really good for everyone to have that, rather than be, all lonely or sitting in your room the whole time playing video games. And so I think that it was a really, really great experience, and we were at the safest place you could be. We got tested every single day, and we wore our masks, and we followed protocols, and we had no worries.
If COVID-19 is still around next year and impacts the next NBA season, do you think the NBA will implement the bubble system again? If not, what other systems could be implemented to successfully have another season?
I'll leave that to the NBA. They have the top experts, working on this. I wouldn't be one to know the ins and outs and all the layers involved, and I'm not a medical background, so I leave that to the experts. But what I do know is that the NBA is gonna have the best interest of their athletes and their players, and they're gonna work with their players, the NBPA, to come up with a plan that works for everybody.
You have traveled around the globe working with the men's Olympic basketball team and the NBA-sponsored Basketball Without Borders program. How has COVID-19 impacted basketball on a global scale?
I think similar to here in the US, I think COVID has sort of affected everybody very similarly. And the young kids, the young athletes that probably haven't had the opportunity to gain as much exposure because their competition schedule has been interrupted from COVID, are the ones that I feel for. But at the same time, I think that, obviously the Olympics were canceled. lots of tournaments and championships were canceled or postponed. And so it's had a really big effect on everybody globally.
How do you feel about athletes using their platforms to protest injustice?
I think it's great, and I fully support our athletes in anything and using their platform for something as important as raising awareness for social justice and change.
Gender diversity is still lacking in leadership positions in professional sports in America and across the globe. Why is gender diversity important in sports, and how can we change sports culture to be more inclusive?
I feel like sports culture is becoming more inclusive. There's a number of women working in the NFL, MLB. Maybe I should be more knowledgeable in this subject. There's a number of great women that work in the NBA. We have we have 5 women on our basketball ops staff at the Orlando Magic. And so I just think it's important to have, you're not getting the 50% of the population, the other gender's opinion or input or experience or what lens, if you just keep everything to one way, one gender. And so inclusion, and whether it's gender or race, is, to me, diversity and inclusion is something that is always going to make a group, an organization, or a company better.
What advice would you have for college students interested in executive leadership careers in professional sports?
The advice I would have for anyone that would want to be in, a front office in sports is, excuse me, I just got a text, is to, obviously you have to work hard and make sure that your network, be authentic, be yourself, and and also, be humble. I have started where I, mop the floor for Maryland women's basketball and set up the hoops and did the laundry, and I've cleaned the locker rooms. I've done everything from ordering paper clips and putting together binders to, big picture, 50,000 foot view now decisions. And so you kind of have to, you're not just going to go from being a college student to an executive. You have to kind of pay your dues and work hard along the way. And so my whole experience and the way that I was raised by my parents and in my career and everything was to, work hard and do whatever it takes, whether it's mopping the floor or doing a big project or overseeing a big project.
Thanks for that interview. It was great speaking with you.
Thank you. Sorry, I was just, I appreciate your time. Have a great day.
See ya.